It's the nuts and bolts of Monday Night Raw. Well, howdy fans, I'm T Voeltz and I'm representing OneWrestling.com with your nuts and bolts of Monday Night Raw. And I got some good news and I got some bad news. The bad news is the majority of the OneWrestling.com staff are on assignment, which means they're out of the office and they left me out. That's right, they went about their merry way and they left me out of all the fun. But here's the good news. They left me here by myself. That's right, I can do what I want this week. And what I want to do is get started right away with your nuts and bolts of Monday Night Raw. And this week, June 12th, emanates from the Cajun Dome in Lafayette, Louisiana. And we start off the show hot as he's back. That's right, the Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar, comes right out of the chute, right out of the gate at the beginning of Monday Night Raw, and he heads right to the ring with, of course, Paul Heyman. And speaking of Paul Heyman, remember when he was knocking on Jewish people last week? Him being Jewish himself? This week, he's all over the Samoan people, and he says all Samoans are the same. They're all related. Can you believe the audacity of him? The audacity. And he also says that last week, when he got the coquina clutch, when he was the victim of the coquina clutch, he saw white flashes. And then, here was maybe the worst part. He calls Samoa Joe a dog. Well, that's all Samoa Joe could stand. This brings him directly to the ring, and he doesn't have much to say. In fact, he has nothing to say. He goes right in the ring, and he goes nose to nose with Brock Lesnar. You talk about an intense stare down, so intense it lasted mere moments, a few seconds, and it was a brawl. That's right, Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar to open Monday Night Raw in a brawl. A brawl so rough, so significant that most of the Monday Night Raw roster had to come out and pull them apart. These weren't agents, these weren't referees, these were roster contracted pro wrestlers having to separate these two beasts, that's right, two beasts from each other. This was a pull apart, the likes of which we have not seen. And that was the big moment of that opening segment, that roster pull apart. It was huge. Hey, from there, I got a question for you. Who wants to walk with Elias? Hey, he keeps this up. I want to walk with Elias. That's right, we're in the ring next with Elias Sampson center stage, drawing the ire of the WWE Universe with his music stylings, if you will. Hey, there are few in today's culture of the WWE that can raise the ire of the universe quite like Elias Sampson. I really like that. If you like to hate guys, Elias Sampson is one of your guys. Guess what? He's in action this week against the lunatic fringe Dean Ambrose. This is what we saw. This is the nuts and bolts of this matchup. The vagabond, Elias Sampson, he has a real mean streak, a real vicious streak in the match, but he also has a very old school approach, as in he's not afraid to work on a body part. He's not afraid to grab a rear chin lock to wear down his opponent. I like this guy. Is this from his NXT time? Is this from his NXT training? Triple H is an old school type guy. Maybe this is instilled in Elias Sampson. Watch for big things to come from him, but first he's in this match with Dean Ambrose. And Dean Ambrose, guess what we saw? A perfect plex from Dean Ambrose. What do you think Curtis Axel feels about that? About Dean Ambrose using his father, Mr. Perfect's own move, the perfect plex. Well, he didn't use it well enough, as that did not gain him the victory, nor did his suicide dive to the outside. Hey, suicide dive count for the night, 1. That's right, he dives on the outside, still not enough. out comes The Miz with Maurice, who distract Ambrose, and Elias Sampson hits that swinging neck breaker for the pinfall victory on former world champion Dean Ambrose. This is huge. Watch for continued success from Elias Sampson. Hey, this guy looks like Samson. He is aptly named, but to me, he looks like Hercules Hernandez. Remember Hercules Hernandez? Maybe you remember the tag team with Paul Roma, Power and Glory. He looks a lot like those folks. Hey, but he's aptly named. That's right, Elias Sampson looks like Samson. Hey, from here, we get a Shattered Dreams production from none other than the person that I dubbed a legend a week or two ago, Goldust, with a legendary director's chair old school promo as he talks down to former tag team partner R-Truth. Next up, GM Kurt Angle is in the backstage area getting after Miz and Maurice until The Miz mentions Kurt Angle's personal problems, says maybe you should worry about those. We saw a turn in Kurt Angle when The Miz mentioned Kurt Angle's personal problems. He did not like that, and he lit up The Miz verbally. Hey, let's talk about these personal problems. What is going on with Kurt Angle? Here is my take on it. Remember the past between Kurt Angle and Stephanie McMahon? Now I'm thinking way back. Kurt Angle, this is what we know right now. He says this news on his phone, this could ruin him. Perhaps something more than we know about went on between him and Stephanie McMahon. Imagine what that could do to the WWE in 2017. Imagine when Triple H finds out, if he finds out, if it's true. Could this lead to an in-ring personal confrontation between two legendary figures and Kurt Angle and Triple H? Take my money. Take it right now. I want to see that. We'll have to wait and see if that's what the case is. Hey, from there, we get Noah Emdar backstage FaceTiming with his girlfriend Alicia Fox, and they're talking bad about Cedric Alexander, who wanders into the backstage area. This leads to a match up next between Cedric Alexander and Noah Emdar, and Noah Emdar is on the ring FaceTiming with his girlfriend Alicia Fox. Could you imagine the likes of Dory Funk Jr. FaceTiming on the way to the ring? I, for one, cannot. And that's just about an indication about how I felt about this particular match. It was horrible. Nobody likes to fight with their significant other, and they sure as heck don't want to watch somebody else fight with their significant other, especially on the way to a wrestling match. It got to the point where he just left her on FaceTime, set his phone down, turns around, and guess what happens? That's right, a lumbar check maneuver from Cedric Alexander, who gets the pinfall victory on Noah Emdar. Horrible, horrible matchup. I would have just soon had skipped that. Up next, we have Bray Wyatt in the ring, and he's giving his warped, that's right, his warped thoughts on Seth Rollins. Well, Seth Rollins does not listen to that for very long, and he comes out and he responds as the cool fan favorite. Now, if you like the cool type fan favorite, Seth Rollins is your guy. Well, guess what? In the middle of him talking, boom, the lights go out, and you guessed it, yep, Bray Wyatt disappeared. Lights come back on, he's gone, but where is he? He's backstage. He has a few more words, so he's really playing mind games with Seth Rollins. Whew, I'll tell you what. Next up, we have the Hardy Boys getting talked to again backstage, talking about they're going to break the tag team champions Cesaro and Sheamus' bar. Why that? Because Cesaro and Sheamus say they are the bar. Well, the Hardy Boys claim they're going to break the bar. We're going to see if they do that later on this very edition. From there, we have, again, Kalisto versus Apollo Crews. Now, I say again because we've seen this match again and again and again lately. Now, I don't mind matches repeated if there's a reason. Now, if this was like a best-of-7 series a la Magnum TA and Nikita Koloff, remember that? What a great best-of-7 series. If this was a best-of-7 series, it would maybe add a little bit more meaning to this. But be that as it may, these two are trading wins back and forth with Titus O'Neil in the mix. That's right. Apollo Crews comes out once again with Titus O'Neil representing the Titus brand. If you're a fan of the Titus brand, raise your hand. I am. I can't help it. And guess what? Some other peoples may be interested as well, as Akira Tozawa is front row for this match. And most of the time, Titus O'Neil is paying a lot of attention to him because he wants Tozawa to come on board. And tonight, may have been the night to convince him, because guess what? That's right. Sit-out powerbomb for the pinfall victory for Apollo Crews. Tozawa is then brought in the ring by Titus O'Neil, and the three of them, all three, take a selfie. You talk about opposites. You look at Apollo Crews and Akira Tozawa and Titus O'Neil. Could you have any three more opposite people? Interesting to see where these guys go from here. Hey, up next, we have another backstage segment between The Miz, as he's offering Heath Slater to join his entourage. But right next to Heath Slater, of course, is his tag team partner, the Man Beast, Rhino. Well, the Man Beast is eating cheese and crackers through this segment, and he is a mess. I mean, it's all over his face. Anyways, Slater says, you know what, you want me to be part of your entourage? I want something too. I want an Intercontinental title match. I grew up loving the IC title. That's what Heath Slater says. Guess what, Heath Slater? We all did. Now, what are your fond memories of the Intercontinental title? We're talking Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect and the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, yeah baby, right here. Tito Santana and Greg Valentine, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, ooh, yeah, dig it, versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at WrestleMania 3. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So, don't blame Heath Slater for being an IC title fan. Anyways, he says, you want me to join the entourage? I want a title shot somewhere down the line. And The Miz says, hey, we'll do that. You know what Rhino wants? He's a little bit distraught. He does not like this, because he says Heath Slater already has his own entourage. He has me. And so now he's upset, and he wants a tag match tonight. We'll get that a little bit later. Up next, in the ring, Women's Raw Champion, Alexa Bliss, Little Miss Bliss. And then she's joined by Nia Jax, and then they're interrupted by Dana Brooke and Mickie James. And guess what? Emma's back. That's right, Emma's back. And she's not the only one that came out, Sasha Banks. And what came along with Sasha Banks? The Sasha Banks chants from the crowd. The crowd loves Sasha Banks. Good to see her back after her foray into the 205 Live stuff last week. She wastes no time talking, and she clocks the champion Alexa Bliss. This turns into a brawl. That's right, a Pier 6 brawl between all these female competitors. And when we come back from the commercial break, it's a 6-woman tag team match. Here's the bad news. Emma tapped to the bake statement. Why do I say bad news? Well, because you might be an Emma fan, and she just made her big return. Emma's back, and Emma's back to tap out to the bake statement to Sasha Banks. Pretty disappointing for any Emma fans out there, but pretty glorious news for Sasha Banks fans, as she comes right back from her foray into other stuff last week to a big win in a 6-woman tag team match on Monday Night Raw. Let me talk about something that came across a little more serious, a backstage segment, a previously recorded segment between, that's right, lovable, huggable Bayley and Corey Graves. And she says, you know what, I gotta be me. Whether it's a Singapore cane match or anything else, even though I lost, I'm not going to change my personality. I am Bayley, I'm a hugger, that's what I do. And this ends with Bayley hugging Corey Graves. This was strange, but Corey Graves' rebuttal was, I need a cigarette. Now, I'm not one to condone cigarettes. I hate them. Yuck! Cigarette. Smoking's a joke, brother. Anyways, he says after that hug, he needed a hug. Anyways, they're obviously trying to promote Bayley at this point. Let's get a little more personal story of Bayley. Bayley was an NXT standout. Did they bring her up to the main roster too soon? Or can they recapture that fire in Bayley? Time will tell. Hey! From here, we have Intercontinental Champion in the ring, The Miz, with Maurice, and guess who his tag team partner is? It's the Bear, a.k.a. Ms. Bear, as Nick Hausman says. Hey, that's right. You know, I was talking to Nick Hausman the other day, and there's a lot of rumor and innuendo about him being the Ms. Bear. Now, of course, it does not appear to be, because we see the mask come off of the Bear. I think it looks like a cross between Nick Hausman and Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce, who's Adam Pearce? Former NWA champion, that's who. Agent for the WWE nowadays. This guy used to have long hair. Now if you cut that long hair short, back when I knew him, back in the late 90s around the Michigan area when we were traveling up and down those roads. Let me tell you, the Miz Bear looked a lot like a cross between Nick Hausman and one Adam Pearce. Anyways, let's get back to the action here. They're in a tag team match. That's right, Miz Bear is the tag team partner of The Miz as they take on Heath Slater and Rhino. Guess what we saw in this one, or rather heard in this one? It wasn't Elias Sampson. No, it was "We Want Bear" chants. The crowd in attendance at the Cajun Dome could not wait for Miz Bear to be tagged into the match. Well, this is what we also got. We got a lot of bear puns from Michael Cole. He was cracking everyone up. He says, "the barely legal bear." When he said that, not only was it an ECW reference, but it was cracking people up. You can clearly hear silence on the commentator table because they are losing their minds, and so was I sitting here watching it in the offices of OneWrestling.com. By myself, baby! That's right. Anyways, Michael Cole is cracking people up with bear puns. He's saying it's unbearable. He's saying Slater's getting pawed. And of course, we saw the bear hug from Miz Bear. Well, the Miz has had enough. He's convinced that this week, that bear is definitely Dean Ambrose, and he attacks the bear. Guess what? The mask comes off. It wasn't Ambrose. Well, this eventually leads into the Miz bumping into his wife, knocking her down outside the week. That's 2 weeks in a row he's had trouble with his wife, Maurice. Into the Dirty Deeds, who from the bear, who's back in the ring now with his mask back on. The Dirty Deeds? That's right, the big switcheroo happened. The big switcheroo. Suddenly, it is Dean Ambrose. Well, this leads to a pinfall victory for Heath Slater on the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. This leads to a lot of things. More issues between Dean Ambrose and The Miz, and a possible Intercontinental title match between Heath Slater and The Miz. Could Heath Slater become an IC champion? Stranger things have happened. Stay tuned. From there we get the Cruiserweight Champion. That's right, Neville, the King of the Cruisers, as he takes on Rich Swann. Was this a match? I was very confused. I don't remember hearing the opening bell or the ending bell. We saw a Rings of Saturn on Rich Swann, and then Neville gets on the microphone and he's basically says, well, he showed that he didn't like Rich Swann's dancing. He knocked him out. Remember Rich Swann? I called the JYD of 2017. Maybe the Alex Wright of 2017. Das Wunderkind. Either way, Neville does not care for messing around, and he knocks out Rich Swann. Was it a match? I don't know. He proceeds to call out Austin Aries and pretty much everyone in the 205 Live division. Hey, speaking of 205, why isn't Kalisto in the 205 Live division? How about Apollo Crews? Why isn't he? How about Roderick Strong and others? If they want to bolster the 205 Live roster, why not put some of these guys with more star power in there? Just an idea. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you have thoughts on that, on my 205 thoughts or anything else, you can comment right here on YouTube, right on our channel, down in the comment box. And I'll tell you what, folks, we've been getting a lot of feedback on the nuts and bolts of Monday Night Raw. I appreciate your feedback. 98% of it has been very positive. I appreciate all the ideas. I appreciate all the banter on the top 10. I also appreciate the messages about some of the things I've been dealing with some of the lower level staff here at OneWrestling.com. Now that's not to knock the upper level staff. I love those guys. Legendary Bill Apter, he's a gem. Big Ray. Hey, I gotta say something special to the legendary Bill Apter and of course Big Ray, who does your Impact review. I got a very special birthday message from them as they both contacted me very specifically to wish Superboy, or as Bill Apter calls him, the Rookie, happy birthday. Who is Superboy? Who is the Rookie, as Bill Apter calls him? He's part of my staff, that's right. I have my own staff here. They kind of gather info. They tell me wins and losses. They help put together the top 10, which we'll get to later in the show. So, very special, very kind of them to contact me. So a special shout out to those two for contacting me on the birthday of Superboy, aka the Rookie. Thanks. Where were we? That's right, Neville called out everybody. That's pretty much all we saw there. Next up, we had the club of Gallows and Anderson, and we're backstage again, and it shows Big Cass is down again. He got knocked out again, and as he's being helped up, way in the background, if you look really carefully, we see the Revival. The Revival. Now, this is what people have been telling me. I talked to some people backstage, and they said, guess what? The Revival is cleared for action. I think maybe they've been doing some action of their own. They really seem to be knocking out Big Cass. I don't know, there's a lot of mystery with this Big Cass stuff. Well, time will tell. Well, this is what happens. We still have the match anyways. That's right, the club. Gallows and Anderson versus Enzo and Cass. This is what we saw. Magic Killer on Enzo for the victory because Big Cass, he was still hurting. He wasn't much help. He was down outside the ring. And we were about to see a second Magic Killer from Gallows and Anderson on Enzo when the Big Show comes in for the second week in a row and stops that second Magic Killer to save Enzo. Right at that moment, Big Cass is finally up on the ring apron and he's watching this bromance growing between the Big Show and Enzo, and he appeared a little bit jealous. You know, just the other day I had an individual here in town come up to me and they said, "Hey, what do you think's going on with Enzo and Big Cass?" I hope it's the revival. I hope there was a revival. But this individual that came up to me, very nice gentleman, I think his name was Joe, I don't remember, but he tells me that he thinks that Big Cass is doing this to himself to throw everyone off the case of who attacked Enzo. 2 weeks in a row? I don't know if that's the case. Time will tell. Hey, up next, backstage segment again with R-Truth as he's calling out the Goldust and he's saying, "Goldust, you about to get got." That's right. Also, we had Enzo backstage talking to the Big Show and he's questioning the Big Show saying, "Did you knock out Big Cass?" Big Cass says he only one blow took him out. Big Show doesn't care for this and he's ticked off and he says, "You know what, your big pal Big Cass, maybe he's the one that's S-A-W-F-T. Soft." Time will tell on that one. Lots of mysteries on Monday Night Raw. From there, we have Samoa Joe predicting exactly what he plans to do to the Universal Champion at Great Balls of Fire. That's right. He's taking on, in this huge matchup, the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. And in this brief moment backstage, he says exactly what he's going to do. Hey folks, guess what? That's right, it's top 10 time. That's right. And I have it right here, thanks to my staff, which includes Superboy, aka the Rookie, for compiling the data. Now this is compiled by them with my final approval. That's right, the official T-Voeltz top tier talent of Monday Night Raw as approved by me. What does that mean? It means my staff kind of collect the data, the wins, the losses, and then they give it to me. And the good news is they compiled this data late tonight with me here. As I'm left alone here in the office, but they sent me the information and I put my stamp of approval. That's why this top 10 is approved by me, none other than me, T-Voeltz, otherwise known on the Twitter as Travis Voeltz. T-R-A-V-I-S, V as in Victor, O-E-L-T-Z. You don't want to do the Twitter thing? That's fine. Let me know what you think of the top 10 right here in the comments on the YouTube channel. Alright, without further ado, June 12th. Number 10, Kalisto, after a loss this week. Number 9, Finn Balor. Why is he all the way back to number 9? Well, where's he been for 2 weeks? Not good. We saw a video package. That's good, keeping him fresh in our mind. But where has he been for 2 weeks of Monday Night Raw? Number 8, Elias Sampson. This guy really seems to be on a roll, and he picked up a big victory over former world champion Dean Ambrose. Watch for continued big things from Elias Sampson. Number 7, Intercontinental Champion Miz, who got pinned by Heath Slater this week. Number 6, Bray Wyatt. Number 5, Seth friggin' Rollins, who was not in action this week. Number 4, Dean Ambrose, way up there after taking out the Miz as he was wearing that bear costume. Number 3, Roman Reigns. Where was he this week? More on that later. Number 2. That's right, all the way up to number 2. The King of the Cruisers. That's right, Neville. Is this guy, will this guy be stopped? Time's going to tell, but I don't see it happening right now. This guy is on a tear, the likes of which we have not seen for a long time. This leads us to our number 1 contender. That's right, as approved by me, of course, it's Samoa Joe, as he's going to challenge the Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar. Hey, agree with the top 10? Disagree? Let me know. You can do it right here on our YouTube channel for OneWrestling.com in the comment section. Let me know your top 10 as of June 12th. Alright, that's enough of that, folks. Guess what? Guess what? That's right. It's main event time, folks. Yeah, baby! Okay, we have the Hardy Boys versus the tag team champions of Cesaro and Sheamus in a 2 out of 3 falls. That is great news. Here's some bad news. I looked at the clock when the opening bell rang, and it was 10:53 p.m. Eastern Time. That does not allow much time as far as on air goes for a real classic. I mean, this is not going to be a Terry Funk 2 out of 3 falls classic, or a Ric Flair, or a Carl Gotch, or anybody else. Okay, this is not going to be a classic at this point. So, as expected, quick first pinfall from Sheamus as he gets that first quick pinfall. So it's 1-0. Alright, next we get a broken-esque match as he uses the twist of fate to pin Cesaro in the second quick pinfall. So it's 1-1. And then unfortunately it ends in a double countout. That's right. This 2 out of 3 falls match. I love the format of 2 out of 3 falls, but I would love to see a lot more time involved. It ends in a double countout. Which leads me to a new segment called The Good, The Bad, and the Ugly. Doo-doo, ba, 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 doo-doo, wah, wah, wah. That's right, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here's the good of Monday Night Raw this week. Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar, that big pull apart. That was awesome. Some more good news. The tag team champions were in the main event. Why is that good news? Even though it was a short match, because I love tag team wrestling, and it's good to see tag teams on display in the main event spot. And here's also what was in the good news. Neville. He's a dominant champion. I love dominant champions. Great. Granted, his attitude sucks. His words suck. But he is vicious and he is seemingly unbeatable at this point. I love a dominant champion. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. There was 8 matches. That's right, I went back and counted, and there was 8 matches on Raw. But it seemed like a lot less, and I think that was because there was too many backstage segments. I'm okay with some backstage segments. I'm okay with some interviews, but that's too much. It made 8 matches seem like there had maybe been 2 or 3 on the 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. So maybe downplay the segments a little bit. Also, the hug by Bayley, that was weird. Also, the main event ending in a double countout. You talk about a popcorn fart. I don't care for that when it comes to a 2 out of 3 falls. I want, as the Macho Man says, you win it and you lose it in the middle of the ring. That's right, Macho Man Randy Savage. He is known for saying you win it and you lose it in the middle of the ring, and that's what I want to see happen. I don't want to see the final fall out of a 2 out of 3 falls match in the main event on the flagship show of Monday Night Raw and in a double countout. So that was the bad news. Alright, looking at my notes here, reminds me of the ugly. That's right, we've had the good, we've had the bad, wah, 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 and now the ugly. Noah Emdar FaceTiming with Alicia Fox. I don't ever want to see that again. Not saying another word. Also, he was also eating pizza in a Pizza Hut commercial with the club backstage. That was ugly. Hey, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, I think I would like to see their viciousness come back out. These guys are much too talented to be eating pizza with Noah Emdar backstage. No offense, Noah Emdar. You're not doing it for me right now. And no more FaceTiming. Alright, here's some more great news, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're going to get next week. We're going to get Roman Reigns, the big dog in the yard. And he has a special announcement for his SummerSlam plans. What does that mean? Does it mean a matchup? Does it mean he's going to host it like his relative The Rock? What exactly does it mean? I don't know. Maybe it has to do with Braun Strowman. Join me next week. Take my hand. That's right, baby. This is where the power lies. Take my hand and join me next week, and we're gonna form the Mega Powers. Yeah, cup of coffee in the big time. Ooh, dig it. Ooh, yeah. Okay, maybe we're not going to form the Mega Powers, but join me next week, if nothing else, to see what happens. Where are we going with Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar after this pull-apart brawl? This was the highlight of Monday Night Raw, and it opened the show. We're going to see more of that next week. Please join me, baby. It's time to get out of here. I'm out of here. I'm going to grab up Superboy, a.k.a. The Rookie. We're going to hit the road, baby. Join me next week. Take my hand. Yeah, as we bring you the nuts and bolts.